Hello and welcome to week 8 of the Ray of Hope crochet along, and this week we're making the V-point stitch. So this is a rectangular ray and we're going to be making this one from the short side up. So the V-points, it's a really nice easy stitch, and well, it's really easy to keep track of because you're just making your stitches between the V's all the way up. That's how we're going to make it. So for this piece we're going to be using a 3.5mm hook, and we're going to start with a foundation chain of 15. So I've just put a stitch marker in the stitch closest to my hook, that chain there, and our turning chain is going to count as our first single crochet. So then in the third chain from your hook, 1, 2, 3, we'll make a single crochet. And we're going to single crochet in each stitch across. Okay. Oops. Split the stitch there. Let's try that again. Okay, so including that turning chain, we're going to have 14 stitches in total in row 1. Okay, so I'm going to be using 2 colours for this. But because this stitch is symmetrical, I have a little trick so you don't have to cut off your yarn at the end of the row so you can carry it up. I'll show you that in a little bit. You can use any number of colours for this. If you just use 3 colours, then you can just carry on up the sides the same way as you normally would. Just carry the colours up. Right, so 14 single crochet. And actually I don't want to do that. The last 2 loops of the row, I'm going to bring in my second colour. I'm just using a couple of nice greens for this one. And I'm going to turn and chain 1. Okay, so let's start making these V's. So in that first stitch we're going to make our turning chain. So as always, I'm a fan of the alternate turning chain. Just pop that in there. And that counts as our first stitch. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to skip the next stitch, and the stitch after that we're going to make 2 double crochet in the same stitch. 1 and 2. So 2 double crochet in the same stitch, and that is our first V, because in the next row we're just going to be making our stitches between the posts. That will be our V's. So we skip the next stitch, and in the next one we make 2 double crochet, both in the same stitch. Okay, I'm going to do that all the way across. Skip the next stitch, and the stitch after that, 2 double crochet, both in the same stitch. So there's no stitches made between your double crochet posts, your 2. Let's try that again, shall we, when we get my words out. There are no stitches between your pairs of double crochet. So let's just make 2 double crochet in the same stitch, then skip a stitch all the way across the row. 2. Okay, so in your second to last stitch, which is this one, you make 2 double crochet again, and then we don't skip a stitch here, so your final stitch is 1 double crochet into there. Okay, so if you're changing colours the traditional way, you're going to change your colour in the last 2 stitches of this. So I'm not going to do that, so I'm going to use my little trick for not cutting off ends. I'm going to pull up a loop, okay, and I'm going to go back to my first front of the row, and I'm just going to pull up my green into that first stitch. I'm going to chain 1 and make the alternate turning chain in that first stitch. Okay, so we have turned with normal colours. You just do this exactly the same. It doesn't change, it's exactly the same way. Just so I don't have to cut off ends. Okay, so the pattern for the rest of this piece, we're going to make the next stitch is double crochet. We're going to go in between that pair of double crochet there. So we're going to be working around the stitches. We just make 2 double crochet, both between the post. And so we just pulls it apart and we have our V. And the point of the next V just goes in between. It's going to look like that all the way up. So I've got a 2 double crochet in between those V's. Then the next 2 stitches, 2 double crochet in between the V's, and that's all there is to this whole stitch. 2 double crochet between the V's. And we're going to repeat that for every row for this piece. It's a really nice simple stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yep, you'll have 6 V's in each row. And it's just the double crochet between your posts of the V's. It's as simple as that. Your start and end stitch on each row will be either your turning chain or you end, well, you start with a turning chain and you end with the double crochet. Get that loop out of the way. And then just the 6 sets of V's in between. I'll do my last set here. And now for my little trick, I'm just going to get that loop, last 2 loops on my hook, grab the loop of the other green and just slip stitch through. And I don't have to change colours. There we go, chain 1. So don't worry about your colour change going up the sides. Once we join the pieces with that slip stitch border, you won't see that change at all. Once it's joined, it'll all be hidden. And you just carry on up. So turning chain in the first stitch, and between the V's, just make 2 double crochet. This is such a nice simple stitch to do, and it does look lovely once it's finished. There we go. And they're just V's stacked on top of each other, all the way up. Okay, so for this piece there are 41 rows in total. So your very first row is a single crochet row, and then you do 39 rows of V stitches. Okay, so row 40 is your last row of V stitches. And then we get to row 41 and we're going to finish off with a row of single crochet. Okay, so I'm going to jump to that and I will show you how we're doing that single crochet row. Okay, so I've got my 40 rows and now need to finish with a row single crochet in row 41. So just chain 1 and into the first stitch make a single crochet. Just pop that in there. And we're going to make a single crochet into the top of every double crochet. Okay, so we don't work into any chain spaces. For this row you are working into the loops of your double crochets, and you should have 14 single crochets in total for this row. Okay. So double crochet into the top of every pair of V's and your start and end double crochet as well, and it just ties in nicely. 2 more. And the last one. And there we go. That is your V point piece. So once we finish that row 41, we then need to do our slip stitch border. So I'm going to switch to a 4mm hook and join into the side of any stitch. And into the side of each row you're going to make 2 slip stitches down the long sides. Okay. So you'll end up with 80 slip stitches down each long side. Make a slip stitch into every stitch across the bottom and you'll have 14 stitches across those. And then you can weave in your ends and join this piece onto your week 7 ray, and you're just going to join the long end. Don't join the short end yet, we'll do that next week. Okay. And then that's week 8 complete. So I hope you enjoyed the V point, and I shall see you next week for week 9. Bye for now.